my own live? How does that happen? I didn't really want that ugly pole in it. Let's do it like this. How's that? Well, I'm outside today and I'm actually in Victor, Idaho. I'm on the road, so I was trying to find the best spot to go ahead and film. But of course, I would not use the word perfect. So, starting it off, have you ever had imposter syndrome? And of course, if you have, you know how much it hurts to have it. And my name's Rose Cayazzo. I've been a voiceover talent for 17 years and I've done some on camera work as well. But literally, for all of those 17 years, maybe more, I have hidden behind the microphone instead of being in front of the camera. So today, I'm going to share with you my story about how I had imposter syndrome. And even though I'm outside and it's about 26 degrees, I think I'm gonna take this off because I do have a sweater on and all. So, yeah, I'm a polar bear living in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Okay, so starting it off from the way beginning, we would start at a place where in 2008, I decided I was going to help the people in Jackson Hole start a community radio station. So I was ready. I had never done radio before and I was always interested in doing it. And so I decided I was going to make that my thing. So I went to the radio station and I said, "How about I take the lady angle?" And they said, "Sure, yeah, you could do that. We don't have anyone doing that." So I gladly took the ladies angle and I had a show called Local Lady Talk that played for 5 years on that channel, our community radio station in Jackson Hole. And after that, I was hired by Jackson Hole Radio, which was owned by Scott Anderson. And Scott Anderson was a really cool dude. He still is. And he and I always bantered back and forth because we had a natural love for radio and also having the ability to do it. And he taught me quite a bit, I think, in the industry. And he sold the station, and it was sold to someone else. I forgot the name of the company, but it was sold to someone else, and they canned everyone. Like, they came in one day, they're like, "You're fired." Everybody, like, except for Fish. But they fired me, and I was like, huh, that sucks. Like, I like doing this job as a little part-time gig, and people were used to hearing me on the radio. But, you know, obviously when you get canned, you get canned. You can't do much about it. So, after getting canned, I was doing my own thing. I was just, you know, I'm always experimenting with different things and stuff. But Scott and I stayed in touch, and he's a cool dude. So he sent me this email one day, and he said, "Hey, I want you to take a look at this." And I was like, okay, you know. So I open up this email, and it's from syndicators saying that they're looking for a new host for their show called Yellowstone Country. And I thought, is he kidding me? Sending me an email like this? Like, what do I know about radio? I mean, I've only been on radio like 5, 6, 7, 7-ish years. Like, they definitely would not be looking for me. So I never delete an email, so I pushed it off to the side. And I thought to myself, yeah, well, I don't know what that's about. Maybe I'll look at it some other time. Well, 5 days later, I decided I'm going to have a glass of wine and maybe look through some of my emails. So I had that glass of wine, and I got to that email again, and I read through it, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to submit my stuff. So I submitted my stuff and, you know, went to sleep, woke up the next day, and the next morning I had an email, literally in all capital letters. "We want you to be our new syndicated radio show host for Yellowstone Country." And I was in shock and disbelief. Like, I closed the email, I think I reopened it, make sure, like, I'm reading the right email. So I called Scott, the owner of Jackson Hole Radio, because we all got canned, and then he bought the station back. But I was on to other things, so I didn't really want to work at the radio station. And he said, "What's up?" And I said, "I got this email that you sent me." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I sent that a couple days ago." I said, "I know. I read through it, and I sent my stuff in yesterday, and they said that they want me to have the job." And he said, "Really? That's great." And I was like, it's great? How is it great? I I don't know. They want to like send me contracts and all this stuff. He said, well, send them over to me. I'll have a look. And I was like, yeah, can you? Because I feel like this is not real. And so that's what happened. I basically had him look at all the materials, and I thought, okay, like I'm sending this over to Scott Anderson. Like he knows the deal. Like if anyone knows about contracts, it's him. And he said, everything looks good. I said, it does? He goes, yeah. And he said, this would be a great opportunity for you. I'm excited for you. And I was like, right, okay, we're gonna do this. So I called the syndicators and I said, I will take the position. They said, great, you have all the contracts signed, great, we're gonna start, and we'll start when you say. And I said, okay. Because I thought, well, I gotta get ready. I have to get all my stuff together. I don't even know what I'm gonna be doing. It's a country music show. Now, being that I have a degree in communications and my minor was in music, I am very fluid when it comes to music. I would say the only music that I do not like is like devil metal. Not my thing. Everything else, yeah. I mean, country, I've always loved it, but this was what they called a new country show. And I sat with myself for a couple weeks, and the syndicator called me, are you almost ready? I said, yeah, I'm almost ready. I was not ready. I still kept saying to myself, what did I do? Oh my gosh, can I even do this? I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I can do it, but I don't think I can do it that good. So I was completely doubting myself. And the whole time, even though I accepted the position and Scott knew about it, nobody else knew about it. I didn't tell anyone in my family. I didn't tell any of my friends, none of my colleagues, because I was afraid that I couldn't really do it. Like all of a sudden, here I am on the scene as a country music, like radio host. Well, that's what I did. I sat with that news for about an entire month. And all that time, I thought to myself, you can do this, Rose. And then some other little thing on my shoulder would say, no, you can't. Yes, you can. No, she can't. This was what went on for an entire month time frame, because I knew that I had to get the marketing together and I had to announce it to people that I was going to become a syndicated radio show host. I wasn't really sure how to do it. Like, who was I to say, like, here I am? But you know what? I started mentioning it. I did like a photo shoot in Yellowstone, and I announced that, I was going to have the show called Yellowstone Country, and people were so excited for me. And I mean, super excited. So excited that someone even gave me a cowboy hat that they didn't wear anymore, and I got to get their cowboy hat. I mean, wow, thanks for the cowboy hat. People believed in me. They were super excited, and someone had said, because it's Yellowstone Country, you should probably trademark your name as Jackson Hole Rose. Now, I had been Jackson Hole Rose since Twitter in 2008, but to be fair, there's also a Jackson Hole Tim, a Jackson Hole Jim probably, and there's definitely a Jackson Hole Jill, which I, always wanted to be because it sounded a lot better than Jackson Hole Rose. But I took that under consideration, and the show started going places. I was in, I want to say, 5 states in the US, and then I was in Australia and in Canada. And that was really cool. And I wound up doing a really bang up job. And you know what? Like, new country became one of my favorite things. It's still kind of one of my things, but I have to, play that music privately in my private space, because my boyfriend's like, are you playing country? And I'm like, no. It's kind of like my secret thing. But I basically, and if you wanted to see any clips from that show, which was called Yellowstone Country with Jackson Hole Rose, you can find all the clips here on YouTube. But for me, I decided to retire my radio show to go into live streaming. And you're like, and then what happened? Well, and then what happened is a whole nother story for a whole nother day, because, yeah, the live streaming show obviously didn't happen, but I was offered a live streaming show, and I was super excited to leave the world of syndicated radio, which basically is the top of your game if you're going to be in radio, and leave what I call the old, fat, happy cats, because I'm a very creative woman and I like to be on the cutting edge of technology. And so I gave them my notice and I said, I'm retiring my show. I announced it to everyone. I said, I'm going to have a live streaming show. This is super exciting. I'm so excited. Like, I'm going to have this show. And, well, I'm going to have to go ahead and do another live stream about what happened there because I never got the live streaming show. So that'll be another day. But this story was about getting through your imposter syndrome, right? So for me, it was really hard because I had to sit with myself for an entire month and keep quiet about it because that's what I felt like I needed to do to get ready. This is not the way that we should go through life, right? Like if you got a new job and you're like, can I handle the new job, and you just don't tell anybody? I mean, yes, it can happen. But I'm here to say that if imposter syndrome enters your mind for any reason, it's because it's coming to you from a place of love, in the sense that, okay, like if we said imposter syndrome, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like an imposter. Actually, it's your brain telling you that you are ready for the next level. So whenever you feel that little inkling of, oh gosh, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if this is me, I don't know if I can, remember, F perfect, okay? We can't do anything perfect. I gave it my complete all, and the live streaming show, I had started giving my all to that, and then something happened, which we'll have to discuss later. But imposter syndrome, if you're feeling it in your head, really push through it, because it's really your brain telling you you're going to the next level. Guess where you're going? Go to the next level. So if it's time for you to go to the next level, think about it in that way. Imposter syndrome is a way for kind of like a little push, a little nudge for us to say, I think I'm going to another level. Yep. So please, what do we say? Like, share, subscribe, and comment. I would love it, love it, love it. And see what I do next here on YouTube. And as I always say, F perfect, right? Because nothing's perfect except for the people that use those words every day, which it's hard. Just the other day, I was in the midst of someone who, every 2 minutes, perfect. And how would you like that to be? Like this. Okay, perfect, right? Anyway, like I say, I don't use even that language in my daily use because I'm extremely aware of that word perfect. And nothing is perfect. So remember, F perfect, and keep it real. Stand out by streaming live because it's your authentic edge in the AI age.